I think open science refers to a concept where knowledge is generated faster by sharing data and sharing ideas, and in the interests of collaborating to generate new knowledge faster than could happen with traditional routes. So if I was to think about what kind of incentives could be put in place to promote open science, I think the funders have a large role to play. What they can do, for example, is to credit people for sharing knowledge. Right now that doesn't happen. To credit scientists for putting things into public databases immediately. Right now that doesn't happen because the granting system rewards publications and always the first to publish. And to be the first, people feel that they often need to keep things secret until they publish. And so I think the way to promote openness is to change the reward system. And I think the funders can do that. Well, this is interesting. So in fact, it was the stakeholders that were forward-thinking and came up with the idea. And so it was an interesting collaboration between industry and foundations and governments, the Canadian government, Ontario, Swedish government, the Wellcome Trust, and pharmaceutical companies thought that we're all duplicating the same experiments, and therefore if we share, we'll get more science done for the same dollar. And so it was in fact not me that convinced the stakeholders, but the stakeholders that created the opportunity, and they should deserve credit for that. I think the cliff that pharmaceutical companies and other drug discoverers face is the fact that when they go into clinical trials, they have no clue what's going to happen, because our fundamental understanding of human biology and pharmacology and toxicology is so poor. And thus, I think if you're to find a solution, we need to focus on increasing our general understanding, and of course, relating that back to open science, all knowledge generation occurs better in the open than in secret. I actually don't have a problem with patents per se, because as you know, the patent system was developed in the 1400s to allow people to share information without fear of somebody stealing it. I think what's gone wrong in the patent system, or the use of patents in drug discovery, is too many things of little value are being patented, and people don't, the social value of sharing is not factored into the value equation. And as a result, lots of little things are being patented, and there's a culture of, I want to get value for it, so it's secrecy, not sharing. And then science definitely in this field advances more slowly because of that. Well, I think one of the problems is it's very hard to define quality assurance and quality control in products that are at the cutting edge, because they've not been put into practice for a long time. The biological products that are out there, like centrifuges, for example, that have been around for 50 years, they're very, very good products. So what we're talking about is the reagents that are at the cutting edge, and it's so expensive to test each individual one that no one has the resources to do it. And so when faced with the impossible problem of spending a lot of resources to test and to see if a machine works or a reagent works versus just buying another one, most people land on the buying another one. And every individual decision is distressing, and as a group it's sort of, it's billions of dollars flushed down the toilet, but there's no real easy mechanism that we can see to change that. If I'm a CEO of a for-profit company, I'm delighted about the open science movement. In large part because companies will be more profitable on the service and reagent side. The more they have to sell, the more money they're going to make. And what open science will do, will create markets for them. It'll invent and make new stuff that's unencumbered. It will also open up new areas of science to sell to. If I'm a drug discoverer, I'm even more delighted, because the reason that the industry is having trouble keeping double-digit growth is because they invest in areas of science that they don't know will fail but are destined to fail. And the more the community contributes to raising the level of knowledge about science, the less frequently these drug trials will fail, the more profits these guys will make. Because it's an industry where the bottom line is affected more by failure than by what they can make off their products. Now, that's a funny question. And you're right, every movement as it matures becomes entrenched in its positions, etc. I think we're fortunate in the open movement that it's a movement driven by young people, and there's always going to be a new generation of young people to kick the old ones in the you-know-what. And so for us who are not so young, we just need to keep looking in the mirror and ask ourselves, am I being entrenched? Am I sort of become dogmatic in my views? And if that ever happens, it's time for us to leave it to the young free thinkers.